Hello there, folks. My name is Spoonks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was American Underdog, making $2.3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $18 million, and that total stays the same worldwide as it still has yet to be released in any international markets. So this movie's continuing to hang strong in the box office. Word of mouth clearly is helping this movie out. It fell 40% from last weekend, which is not a bad hold, and it's just very surprising and impressive for how long this movie has been able to stay in the top 5. I'm genuinely impressed with how long it's been here for quite some time. Given where it's at, it should no doubt cross 20 million domestically very soon. I don't know if it's going to release in any international markets or if there is a reported budget to speak of for this movie, but I don't think it's all that expensive, to be honest. But yeah, once again, very impressed with how this movie's doing. It didn't do gangbusters, it wasn't a blockbuster, but it did fine and well for the movie it is, and that should be impressive nonetheless, I guess. Don't really have a whole lot to say about this movie anymore, really, but yeah, it's still in the top 5. Number 4 was The King's Man, making $3.2 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $25 million and a worldwide total of $74 million. Along with American Underdog, I'm impressed with how well this movie's been doing in terms of hanging in at the box office. It had the best hold out of any of the holdovers in the top 5, falling 29%. I think it has a shot at getting to 30 million domestic and maybe even 90 million worldwide, given where the film is at right now, which I guess is better than nothing. But even if so, and how this movie continues to surprise me at the very least, because I wasn't expecting this movie to do all that well. This movie is still not doing all that well. It is noticeably falling behind from the first and second film's box office due to how not only poorly marketed it was and the constant amount of delays, but also how reception for the film was rather mixed. And while this movie continues to do better than expected, it's still not, once again, not generating the buzz that the first or even the second one really had. So while, again, I'm very surprised that this film has lasted as long as it did in the top 5, it's still not impressing anybody really in terms of its box office. It's still definitely on the lower end. I'm curious to see where the franchise will go from here. Apparently, the third Kingsman film will be starting filming very soon and is going to start production very soon. And I wonder if this will have any effect on that and how that film will be released. But right now, things look pretty good for that film. But in terms of the box office for this movie, yeah, it is noticeably lacking right now. I think it's still going to be in here next week, but after that, it's going to fall down pretty hard for the foreseeable future. Number 3, ironically enough, was the 355, opening to 4.6 million this weekend domestically and 7 million worldwide. So yeah, there's no way to sugarcoat this. This is a bomb. I didn't feel that many people were all that interested or even really knew this movie was coming out. I saw a lot of promotion for it, although with that same Jay-Z Rihanna song playing in literally every single trailer or piece of promotional material they had for this movie, and even that didn't entice people. Just that I think that the concept and from how the movie looked, it just didn't look all that interesting to general moviegoers and audiences, and that's probably what caused the film to fail, as apparently it's also not very good. Reactions from critics and audiences have been mostly negative. It has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes and a B+ on CinemaScore, which isn't the best score you want to see for your movie. And add on to the fact that the movie costs around $40 to $70 million, and this is their opening weekend. It's looking like it's probably not going to even make half of that worldwide. We'll see where it goes. Maybe word of mouth will help it out. It becomes this huge phenomenon or something. I mean, January is a dead zone right now. Morbius has recently moved off of January, so that could help it out maybe, but right now it's off to a very bad start. Number 2 for the third weekend in a row was Sing 2, making 11 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 108 million and a worldwide total of 190 million. So, not only has this film now become the biggest animated family film of the post-pandemic domestically, but it is also not just the 14th film to release in 2021 to cross this milestone, but it is the very first animated family film of the post-pandemic domestically to cross $100 million. That is incredible. It's been a long time coming, especially since that the last animated film to do that domestically was Frozen 2 back in November of 2019, and just how long it's been waiting for any of these animated films to do so. It seemed Encanto was probably going to do it, but since it became more popular on Disney Plus, things kind of sort of stalled with that film. And even Space Jam, especially with that huge opening weekend back in July, seemed like it could, but due to it being more popular on HBO Max, that also stalled its box office. So the fact that this movie was able to do so after such a long time is incredible. It still has a couple more movies to surpass worldwide in order to become the biggest animated family film worldwide of the post-pandemic. It still has to surpass Encanto and The Croods, but given where it's at, I think it's going to be able to do so, and also, given where it's at, it should cross 200 million worldwide, which would be incredible, because now this movie is starting to become profitable. It has surpassed its initial budget of $85 million, both domestically and worldwide, and even its doubling point. So now this film is a certified box office success. That is incredible good for this movie. Word of mouth is still continuing to be strong for this movie, even though kids are now going back to school and many parents are going back to work. This movie is still drawing crowds. That's great, and I still think that this movie is going to have very strong legs and continue to do pretty insanely well for the next couple of weeks, or maybe not just a couple of weeks, couple of months even, given that recently Turning Red has decided to skip theaters. It will no longer be playing on March 11th, so it's going to be a while till like the next family film comes out with stuff like the Breakable Boy and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and it's going to be an even more while till the next animated film hits theaters with the bad guys. So, yeah, this movie still has a lot of ground to cover, but it's already covered it already, given where it's at right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it continues to go from here. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, and that was still Spider-Man No Way Home, making $32 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $668 million and a worldwide total of $1.5 billion. So, not surprising to anyone, this movie continues to crush it at the box office. I believe domestically, it is now the 6th biggest movie of all time domestically. I think it's about to surpass, or it probably has already surpassed, the first Avengers film, and I think it's going to cross paths with the first Black Panther film and make $700 million domestically. I think that's a safe bet. And worldwide, I do think it's about to or has already entered the top 10 highest grossing films worldwide, which even in of itself is just an incredible achievement. This movie continues to just dominate and just crush it once again. However, I do believe that this is the point where Spider-Man is going to slow down because, let's face it, everyone who wanted to see this movie has already seen it, and they wanted to see it twice. They saw it twice. It's made all the money in the world right now. It made all the money it needed to, and I think this is the point where while I don't think it's going to fall off the top 5, it will lose its number 1 spot, and that's totally fine because, once again, it is already one of the biggest movies ever made at this point. It's about to cross 700 million domestically, and it still shows no sign of stopping, even with more competition on the horizon, especially this weekend. And while, yes, it is had a fantastic run, and just the sheer audacity of how much money this made in just 4 weekends in the height of a pandemic is just something to praise and celebrate about and just congratulate, because the fact that this movie was able to do as well as it did right now is just unbelievable. But yeah, given how much it has made and where things are right now and the new movies on the horizon, I think it's about time for Spider-Man to pass the baton to someone else. It had its fun at the box office number 1 spot, but yeah, now it's time for it to start slowing down, but still, it's still going to be in the top 5 for many weeks to come, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. Will it drop hard, or will it continue to hold strong? I don't know, but as for right now, this movie is just continuing to kill it, as I've said multiple times in the past 4 weekends. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters this weekend. And this weekend we only have one major wide new release hitting theaters, and that is the 5th installment of the Scream franchise, literally called Scream. That's not confusing at all. But all jokes aside, I think this might be the very first film of, well, right now, to dethrone Spider-Man No Way Home for good reason. Because, well, let's go back first. Before the trailers and any of the promotional material or anything really was announced about the story or whatnot, I was really confused and interested to see what they were going to do with this movie, as it's been nearly, well, not nearly, but a decade since the last film, and that film didn't bring it. It pretty much failed at the box office when it came out, and seeing that they were going to try to bring this franchise back, I was like, are people interested in this? And when that first trailer dropped, I saw that a lot of people were really interested in this. The film garnered a ton of buzz and excitement and anticipation that I wasn't really expecting. I thought this was going to be another film that would be like, oh, brother, we're bringing back another franchise from the dead, and that would be it. But no, people are really excited for this, and because of that, the marketing has been great. They did that whole 12 days of Screams thing for the holidays, seen tons of ads and promotion for it, and once again, the buzz is pretty strong with this movie, and while reviews aren't out yet for the film, reception from press screenings have gone pretty well. Many people are really liking it and saying it's one of the best films in the franchise. So I think this movie's probably going to have a pretty solid, safe opening weekend. Maybe something akin to like maybe Space Jam: A New Legacy's 31 million, or maybe even Quiet Place Part 2's 47 million opening weekend, as I think it's got enough people interested and excited to see it that it's probably going to dethrone Spider-Man and have a solid opening weekend. But we'll see how well this movie does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you guys think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.